With their caps removed and placed over their hearts from the opening prayer, the POWMIA ceremony, and concluding with the Pledge of Allegiance. Chaplain.
Almighty God, whose blessings are numberless and whose power is infinite, we are grateful for the rich heritage that is ours in this nation of free people. We give you thanks for your manifold gifts to us as we meet for God and country to carry on the business and work of the district. May we be honest and open to all of our dealings as we seek to serve you, our comrades, and this community. May the programs we undertake and support inspire a love of this nation, a desire that we continue a strong and resourceful people, and a deep respect for those who have paid the ultimate price for freedom we all enjoy. We ask that you also keep watch over us. You will comfort our comrades who are suffering mental and physical disability. May they know, again, the blessings of health and happiness. Amen.
Amen. At POWMIA, empty chairs to be placed at all official meetings of the American Legion as a physical symbol of the thousands of American POWMIAs still unaccounted for from all wars and conflicts involving the United States of America. This is a reminder for all of us to spare no effort to secure the release of any American prisoners from captivity, the repatriation of the remains of those who died bravely in the defense of liberty, and a full accounting of those still missing. Let us rededicate ourselves to this vital endeavor. At this time, let's observe a moment of silence in honor of all our POWMIAs. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recover. Please follow me in reciting the American Legion preamble to our Constitution.
For God and country, we associate ourselves together for the following purposes: to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, to maintain law and order, to foster and perpetuate 100% Americanism, to preserve the memories and incidents of our association with all wars, to inculcate a sense of individual obligation to community, state, and nation, to combat the autocracy of both the classes and the masses, to make right the master of might, to promote peace and goodwill on earth, to safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy, to consecrate and sanctify our comradeship by our devotion to mutual helpfulness.
I now declare this 5th District training regularly complete. Welcome to 5th District training. The district began holding training prior to the new service year to assist incoming as well as current officers to be successful leaders. If you are not an officer, I hope this training gives you an insight into the challenges involved in running your post and the need to support the officers you as members chose to lead you. Although no one-day training session can cover all the challenges that you will face, we hope to provide a basic insight into some of the primary officer positions in your post. Today's training will focus on the commander, adjutant, finance, and sergeant-at-arms training. Of course, no Legion training session would be complete without touching on membership. So thank you for joining us here today. Let's get started. For commander training, our northern area commander, Lena Heredia Perez.
Good morning.
Morning.
First of all, I'm gonna ask, this is not my training, but during my training, I'm gonna ask for you to please remove your covers because there is no rank
Yes,
among us
absolutely.
today. We are all here to be successful legionnaires, officers. Ma'am, you wanna come sit up here if you want?
I just had stronger eyes, I thought.
Oh,
so I
She's trying to say she's young enough, it doesn't, yeah.
What you been?
Everybody here knows me, correct? If you don't know me, raise your hand. Okay, so for those of you who do not know me, because there are a couple, I am Lena Heredia Press. I am your Northern Area Commander. I have held various positions throughout the American Legion, starting with canteen manager. Within a year, I was asked to be post commander. And I walked in to be post commander, and I thought we were going to do the turnover like we do in the Navy, right? We have 6 months to where they're going to train you in everything that you need to know. I walk into turnover, and the commander hands me a flash drive and a stack of papers and said, "Here you go."
Have a good
And
day.
I'm like, what? There's no way. I love the American Legion. The American Legion, many of you have heard this a million times, but the American Legion saved my husband's life and gave him purpose. And I have forever written a blank check to the American Legion. Why? Because what we do as an organization saves lives. It changes people.
You know.
I thought this works.
It does, if you do it properly.
There it is. I have to go backwards. Got it. So who here is been post commander? We got 1, 2. There you go. Raise your hand. You are a post commander, sir. Who here is interested in being a post commander?
Let everybody jump up.
Okay, so for all of you that are sitting in here, whether you're in here for adjutant training, chaplain, or adjutant training, finance officer training, I want you to know that you need to know the duties and responsibilities of all officers at your post level, because it's going to make you an educated, more informed legionnaire. So we will focus on these areas listed on the slide. Obviously, we can't go into depth because we all have busy lives and we have other things to do today. But this course, I want you to know, is not designed for you surviving your term as post commander, but to establish a foundation for an effective and successful term in this position. A successful post commander is focused on being a leader, not a caretaker. Leaders look into the future on continuous improvement of post operations and program management, and take pride in moving the post forward. Caretakers merely try to survive from 1 year to the next. Again, caretakers merely try to survive from 1 year to the next. Does that make sense?
Yes.
How many of us know post commanders that have been that post commander? We are here to carry the American Legion forward. We will discuss some tools and publications that can be extremely helpful to you, and in the process make you look knowledgeable and confident in front of your membership. That is key. That is key. Successful post commanders are proud of what they have done and are more likely to be enthusiastic and motivated to contribute more to the Legion at a higher level. I started as a member of the American Legion. No intent of being an officer. I've been post commander, I've been on the executive board, I've been a district officer, Northern Area, and one day I may be at the national level. Not because of the title, but because we need to preserve this organization for those men and women currently in the ranks serving the United States military. So, obviously, purpose of a post commander, how to prepare to be a post commander, or you prepare your post commander, various resources that you need to know like the back of your hand, and running an effective meeting. In this PowerPoint, I have to say this by far is my favorite slide. If you do, and I will send this, you don't have to worry about taking pictures, I will send you all of this information that was handed out to you as well as this PowerPoint. To be a successful post commander, you have to be honest. Honesty is key. Ambitious. Enthusiastic. If you are not excited about what you're doing, how do you expect your post commanders or your post members to get behind you? Curious. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to talk to your membership. Poised. I was taught when I first started this organization, dress for success. Play the part. In the Navy, press the I believe button. Press the I believe button. Be self-confident. That's hard for a lot of us. Self-confidence does not come easy. And a lot of people look at me and think that I'm self-confident, but inside here, I promise you, I am not. Know your programs. Know your membership. So what do you do first? Okay, let me ask Craig. What is the first thing that you do when you become post commander?
I would say find and read the post-constitution and bylaws.
Fair. Do you come in like a bull in a china cabinet and change everything?
No.
Is that actually probably the worst thing that you could do as an incoming post commander?
Yes.
Yep.
You're going to be met with resistance, right? So obviously, when you take this role, you hopefully are preparing for it months, years in advance, but you've got to know your post. Constitution and bylaws is huge. Read them again, understand them, because you will be challenged. You will be challenged, and as a district officer, I will tell you, and Garcia can attest to this, we've been challenged at the department level. Know them. That is your holy grail. Review your minutes. Huge. Know your minutes. Minutes, don't breeze over them. I will say, as post commander, that was the worst thing I ever did. I let my membership just approve the minutes. And there was vital things that were missing at times. But you don't realize it until after the fact. Do not breeze over the minutes. Yes, it's time consuming, but I tell you what, you need to make sure that they're correct. Those are binding legal documents. Review your post-consolidated reports. Educate yourself. Educate yourself. Are you actually capturing the information that you guys are doing as a post? That is huge. We do not give ourselves enough credit in what we do at the post level. CB&Ls, we've already touched on that, but I'll tell you again. Know your CB&Ls. What do your CB&Ls cover? Ma'am?
I have no clue what we're talking about.
Okay. CB&Ls, Constitution and Bylaws.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So your post organization, your officers, the duties and responsibilities of your officers, election of officers, how it's done. You're getting ready to go into this right now, and this is the crazy season for district and department officers. Because elections are not done properly because you don't follow your constitution and bylaws. Programs and your program involvement. Facility operations and rules, that's your house rules, right? Be familiar with those. Know them like the back of your hand. Your committees, what their responsibilities are, as well as your executive committee. Any questions?
Can I make a comment, Commander?
You sure can.
As a commander, as a post commander, the biggest thing that I ever learned were those Constitution and bylaws. The thing about the Constitution and bylaws that those are what your post voted for. The Constitution and the bylaws. As a post commander, they do two things for you. I've always said this. First, when a member comes and asks you a question of the why, they protect you. The Constitution and bylaws protect you from why are we doing this, because you say it's in the Constitution and bylaws. This is not something that I created. This is something that you created. And then the second thing, it gets you out of trouble. When you do something, you go back to your Constitution and bylaws and you go, the reason I did it is because you said this is the way that I do it. So it can help you on both ends. It helps you to accomplish your work when you need to do your work because this is what they asked for, and it protects you when they're screaming at you because, again, they voted on it. And it's extremely important. And it's not that important the first 2 days when everybody's happy with you, but when they're unhappy with you, you need to go find your Constitution and bylaws because that's what they're going to come after.
Fair, sir.
Yeah, just remember, there are differences between your Constitution and bylaws and your house rules. Constitution and bylaws runs the Legion. Your house rules runs your individual post. There is a big major difference. On your CBLs, it's always good. I don't know if you want to just touch on it, but just remember, you should review them at least once a year. Go over to the exec committee, you should review them at least once a year. And you should go a complete go through and send them to the department at least every 3 years. Just to make sure they're good. That way, because sometimes you might miss something from 2 years back. Oh, we need to change it because we don't do it that way no more. So let's make sure at least review it every year and submit them to the department at least once every 3 years.
Very good. The commander mentioned something very important, and it takes me back to when I was district commander, and I had a member who may or may not be sitting in here with me, but today, but he always wants to see it in black and white. Show it to me in writing. And that would be Denny Luke. I love it. I loved it. Show it to me in writing. If it's not in writing, it ain't true. Okay? So, communicate with other post commanders, post officers throughout your district. Network. Probably one of the best things I ever did as post commander before I became post commander is I traveled the district. I talked to the post officers at various posts, found out what worked for them and what didn't work for them. And what worked for them may not work for me, but what didn't work for them may work for me depending on. So network. So assess the situation. We're not going in there like bulls in the china cabinet to change the entire post immediately. So you need to find out what it is going on at your post. You need to find out and be familiar with what post programs your post is doing and what kind of changes do your membership want to see. Don't be afraid to ask the ugly questions because those are ugly questions and sometimes we don't want to know the answers. Ask them. Assess the situation. What is the post reputation in the community? You've all heard it before. If your post was to close today, would your community miss you? So we got post 137 in the house today, obviously. You're doing what today?
Training for sergeant at arms.
Training, no, what are you doing, what's the post doing?
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
After this,
After this, we have an Easter egg hunt.
Easter egg hunt, the community, right? You're touching the community, post 137, yeah, you guys are amazing in what you do. You will be missed. Post 9, what'd you guys do last weekend?
We followed up with the families of need we sponsored for the holidays and dropped off some food and stuff for the spring break.
Amazing, amazing. So, they're doing the right things. Is your post doing the right things? We've got post 37 in the house. They don't have a post home. But I tell you what, you guys are known in your community. Why are you known in your community?
I think it's because of the things that we do for our local veterans along with St. John's Veteran Council. But recently, we reached out to Kids Bridge. Our 5th District Auxiliary President Julie Kay is on that board, and that's not why we reached out to them. But we reached out to them because we know that it's directly involved in our community, and some of our veterans use that facility. And for those that don't know, Kids Bridge in St. Augustine is a supervised visitation center and also a place where families that are having troubles with one another, say divorce or whatever, they can also change visitation there. In other words, when it's time for the father or mother to see the child, you know. So we're working to do the best that we can, and I'll keep pushing for that.
Fantastic, fantastic. So why is this important? We're always recruiting. And everything that we do, we are recruiting new members. And if you're active within your community, guess what? Your younger generation is going to want to get engaged. They want to be involved. Have a short-term and a long-term goal. Short-term, 6 months, a year. Long-term, anywhere from 3 years to 5 years. Your post. You have one as well as your post. So, are you ready to be a commander? Are you ready to be a commander?
No, you're not.
Right.
No one is ever ready to be a commander. It's a learning process.
It is a learning process, but you're ready. I will tell you, I think you are ready. Why? Because you've been involved at your post. You've held various positions. You know just about as much as you're going to know until you take that position. You know your post members. Oh my goodness, do you? You call them all the time, right? You're in charge of membership. Making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. You understand the values and the purpose of the American Legion. Post 37 commander, were you ready to be the commander this year?
No. You know, as a vice commander, one of the things that if you are in that position or you're stepping into that position, what you have to realize, and I guess one of the things that I didn't know at the time was you're next in line. And when our post commander stepped out due to health reasons or whatever it was, I received a phone call from 5th District, Mike Garcia, commander. Mr. Glad, I need an answer from you. Are you ready to step up? Oh, man. Can I get back to you? No. I need to know. No. And so, yeah, I stepped into it. And it's been a long learning process, and I'm still learning and still asking questions, and I bother him every day.
Literally.
So, true story. Listen, I've asked Denny, Luke, you know, I've asked you questions. I'm always trying to ask because, man, there's things that I don't know. There's things I'm not going to know. You know, I don't know. Is that the right way? I think it is. I don't know.
I think you're doing an excellent job. I really am.
Thank you.
And I think it's important for you to know something very important, what you just said. So we're talking post commander, right? Right now, that's what we're discussing. But might as well be first vice commander. Because if something happens to your post commander, the first vice steps up. And we have seen it this year too many times within this district and other districts that the first vice is not properly prepared. They're just holding a position, and then when something happens to the post commander, guess what? The post is in turmoil. Okay? So be mindful of that as you take your role. Be mindful of that as you go through elections this year. Make sure that these individuals know their duties and responsibilities as, you know, whatever it is, finance officer, whatever, so on and so forth. But definitely first vice. First vice. So obviously, essential tools, and I usually bring them with me, but Robert's Rules of Order. Have a copy with you. Be familiar with them. The Officer's Guide. You guys all know where to find the Officer's Guide, correct? The American Legion Officer's Guide. Okay. There's an administrative manual that you should be familiar with. The Adjutant's Guide. Guess what? Your adjutant as a post commander is your right hand person. And you better get along. Correct, Nancy? With your post commander? No,
Do we have
scared.
You should be scared.
So these are very important tools for you to become familiar with. Obviously, we've already touched on it. Your previous minutes, your CPRs, review them, review them, review them.
$20.
Yes.
Hey, yeah, I would also include on that previous slide your post documentation pertaining to your insurance, your 990, your EIN. You have to make sure all of those documents, your liquor license, you need to review all of your certificates and licenses, because a lot of times you will find your predecessor maybe forgot to fill out, maybe forgot to renew. And I'm telling you, Lena did me a great favor when I was over at 316. She came in and said, I want to see you, I want to see you, I want to see you, I want to see. And I'm like, okay. And then start digging and find out that no, we're not okay. We don't have insurance, full insurance. And by full insurance, I mean, you have to understand the different insurances that is required or that you should have. You gotta have your liquor liability if you have a canteen. You need to have property and wind, storm damage. You need to have employee theft. You need to have, if you have employees, you need to have workers' comp. I mean, the list goes on and on. And if you don't have one of those, like Post 9, they didn't know that they did not have casualty insurance. When they caught fire, they was behind the 8 ball, right? So when you step into that commander's position, not only look at your CDL and post standing rules or House committee rules or whatever you want to call it, but also look at all of your certification and documentation. You know, all it takes is to have a fire marshal walk in and go, oh, you've not renewed your, had your annual or semi-annual fire inspection, so we're gonna shut you down until you get your CO2 bottles hydro, right? So anyway, that's enough of that.
No, that's very important, and that, again, you know, I've never claimed to be a perfect post commander, and when tragedy did come knocking on our door, I did exactly what we were supposed to do. I picked up the phone, I called the insurance, and I told the insurance, hey, someone broke into our post, they set it on fire. I need you. And they're like, okay, and then they turned around and called me back within like 3 minutes and told me that we didn't have coverage on the contents of the post. Here as post commander, I thought that, you know what, I knew we had insurance, this, that, and the other, and I thought we were doing it all right, but come to find out that was a hard lesson for all of the officers, not just post commander. It wasn't just my fault. It was all of the officers, it was all the members' responsibility to review these and not just take it as gospel. Educate yourself.
And with that, I know at our post, we do an end-of-the-year audit, and we make sure, and the incoming post commander should be there as it gets turned over, every one of them documents is present and current.
Right, right. Yes, sir.
Commander, one of the questions I have for you is, now that we're moving into a world where technology is obviously forefront, are we going to be discussing like SOP for how we should be handling things like social media accounts, website accounts, financial records? Or is that something from the executive board, or is that something that the post commander then outlines, and that there's some type of, for specifically for continuity?
So that's the post responsibility. Remember, and I hate this word, all posts are what?
Autonomous.
I hate that
Yep.
word.
Yep.
But we can't force you to do anything that the post doesn't want to do. So that's something that maybe you need to include in your house rules, right?
Man.
Yes.
However, your district commander's handbook does give you a process and suggestions as to how you should deal in terms of your social media exposure and how you conduct yourself when you're out presenting yourself to the Legion. That is actually in the commander's book.
But I don't
But
think
if-
that's what he was asking. What he was asking is continuity, right?
No, I understand. Well, I'm saying he can get some ideas or suggestions, because there are some suggestions at the district commander's level. It wasn't our book this year, but I read it. It gives you some suggestions. You shouldn't, how you put your exposure. Again, they're not going to tell you can't do this, but they do have some ideas, and they'll tell you, these are some certain things that you do and you don't do.
So I understand, and if I'm understanding what you're asking, and that is, so like you Google, let's say, American Legion Post 9.
No, ma'am. What I'm discussing is, let's say, for an example, the post commander has asked, let's say, somebody to be that's going to handle the newsletter, that's going to handle communications within the post. Okay, so whether that's through a Facebook page or some, when I think of communications, I'm thinking broad here. So if we were using Facebook, there would be an administrator to that Facebook account. Now, if that person no longer performs that role, okay, so passwords and ownership of that Facebook page, or ownership of the website, the domain hosting, those are things that intellectual property, if the post is autonomous, then the post needs to take on the responsibility of what happens, who controls. Otherwise, when somebody's butt gets hurt and they decide they want to pout and leave, then what happens is individuals take that intellectual property with them.
Yes, it does happen, unfortunately.
I have the answer,
Go for it.
because I'm from Post 37 and
Yes,
I
sir.
designed it at our post. It's very simple at our post. It belongs to the post. And we voted on that way back when I was first the commander of that post. So for us, the way it works is very simple. When we create those passwords, they're held in the hands of the adjutant, who controls the paperwork for that post. If you're no longer there and you decide you want to pout and run away, doesn't matter. We have access to be able to go in and structure and change those and control
It's
them.
almost like a black book. You have a black book with passwords and so on and so forth. So I've got Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, Commander, I think part of that came from Old 37, when Old Post 37 went under, and Mike stepped up, Commander Garcia stepped up to raise Post 37 from the ashes. One of the problems that happened in Old 37 is they weren't giving anything up. There were no phone numbers to reach anybody. We couldn't get a hold, and there's still issues on there. If you search for Post 37, you'll see one Anderson Circle. That's Taqueria, that's Casa Reina, Taqueria, and Taco Bell. So this is why we designed it this way. Although we did just have a problem, I'm not going to get into exactly what happened, but one person had control of a social media account for us, and now all that information is gone because he got butthurt. He took everything with him and said, well, all you had to do was transfer that information, I said. And That's all you had to do. Well, I couldn't do that. Yes, you could. So from moving forward now, we will, exactly what Commander Garcia said, we're gonna handle that way. So we do have that Facebook page. I have asked for, we'll handle that, Phil. So thank you.
Sure.
Phil's a member of our post as well.
It wasn't really all about that. I mean, it was
Right.
obviously, it was really just where is that
Yeah.
role
The adjutant.
covered, and are we going?
And our post is the adjutant.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
With that, I would
Don't
say,
apologize.
the domain name should be, for your website, should be owned by the Post.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
but back to the Facebook issue, and this is a problem I had with Yorley. I had said to them, when I tried to form a page, it has to be attached to the individual forming the page.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And so what I
Yeah.
did was, I created a fictitious person, but then they pinged me on using the same phone number. So basically, what I would suggest for social media is, you put in your bylaws or SOPs that at least 3 to 4 individuals that
Administrators.
are on
Yeah.
your officers for the Post become administrators. That way, if, say, Dave gets butthurt, he wants to leave, he can't shut the page down or whatever,
Yeah.
the other administrators remove him and then put someone else in. And also limit on who's allowed to comment, because I know like our writers page is not owned by the Post, it's owned by Chuck Benham, who's turning it over to us, but unfortunately, he left it open for anybody to comment, which becomes a problem. You get these nasty posts on there for porn and all this other crap, so we gotta get it yanked down. So we're in a process, tomorrow we have our meeting, changing that over.
Absolutely. Okay, I don't want,
Yeah.
we're a little bit off topic and time is of the essence. But before we do that, Ms. Verna, you are a social media guru, right? Is there anything that we are missing when it comes to, that maybe we should have expounded on when it comes to administrators and?
Yes, I think everyone's touched on it. Always, as mentioned, have 3 to 4 admins. There's a lot of protocols that you can use to self-serve yourself on Facebook, or like you said, stop comments or pre-approved comments. On all our pages that I'm an admin, no one can, I give pre-approval to certain people because I know that they will always be positive and whatever, but everyone else has to have pre-approval by me or one of our admins to make a comment or to even post on it. So there's a lot of safeguards that Facebook has. It's a great social media platform.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so remember the first slide that I said was probably the most important slide, and that was the post commander's responsibilities, and that was being honest, being ambitious and enthusiastic, be curious, be poised, be self-confident, know your organization, look the part. Remember that leadership, attitude trumps aptitude. We can teach skills and knowledge, but the intangibles of attitude, enthusiasm, energy, and passion are very personal traits that depends on the individual's desire to serve and lead. Attitude trumps aptitude. Take care of your membership. Take care of your community. Recognize your post membership, not just Legionnaires. Recognize the post family, American Legion family, your sons, your auxiliary. So who here knows how to run an effective meeting? This is huge, because this is your one shot at your post membership.
I do my best and I screw it up every single time. All of us do.
We all do.
Every single one of us. There's not a person at any level. Somewhere, and for those of you who are not aware, Lena and I have been working as district officers together for 5 years now. And as we were coming up together, at the end of every meeting she would have when I was her first vice commander, she would, every single one, how did I do? And it was like, well, up until this one, there's always one sentence, one word, but that does not mean that you don't strive and keep going. It does get better. It does, but you're always kind of fumble something. It's just reality.
So it's huge. So our district vice commander, he handed out some important things. When I was post commander and a district finance officer, the district commander came back from a leadership retreat, and he handed me a piece of cardstock that had how to run a meeting on it. And so I actually tailored this myself personally, and I tweak it every meeting.
Yep.
Every meeting. But I have these with me everywhere I go because I want to do the right thing. I want to run a good meeting. I want to recognize people in the order that they're supposed to be recognized in. Because let me tell you, as soon as you don't do it, they're going to call you out on it.
You mean like this?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So
Always.
I can send this to you if you're my post commanders. Do you guys have a copy of this already?
If I could say something here, Commander, I have this blown up on 4 pages and laminated. So when you see me in front of y'all at the meeting, and I'm looking down and kind of reading what you saw Randy doing, the reason why I laminated it, number one, is so if I spill something on it. Number two, why do I have 4 pages? Because I need cheaters to begin with, and I still can't see it. So I'm able to read it when I'm standing there and I'm looking down. I'm not doing this, so I can kind of look and follow and look at the members, right? Because that's what we were doing.
Fantastic. So very key for you to have running an effective meeting. So you're going to prepare for the meeting, right? You're going to gather all your information. You're going to create your agenda. Who here does not have an agenda at their meeting? Okay. I've been to posts where you go to a meeting and they don't have an agenda for their membership. How do you expect your members to be like, you know what? They're talking about this today. I think I'm going to attend the meeting. Educate them, right? So you want to publish your agenda. I generally publish my agenda I'd say 5 days prior to the meeting because you don't want it to get lost. Lost in their email, lost in, outer space, wherever. So, make sure you send them an agenda so they can decide whether or not they want to attend your meeting or not. Who's your guest? Do training, bring something to get those members in there. Send out a reminder. We're all volunteers. We work, we are involved in other organizations, send them a reminder. And guess what? I'm going to tell you, texting is my friend. Texting is my friend because emails get lost, they get buried, we don't pay attention to it, we get busy, but a text message, an open ratio on a text message compared to an email, it's night and day. I think it's like 20% for an email, 80% for a text message. Your sergeant at arms would set up the space. I came in today at 9:15. The space was already set up. But know how to set up your space. This is huge. Parliamentary procedures. Keep an orderly process. You're in control of your meeting. If you lose control of your meeting, you've lost your membership's attention. Get your business done as quickly as you can. And I probably don't have this, but when someone's sitting in your meeting going like this to you, guess what? A fast meeting is not necessarily the best way to get business done. If it takes you an hour and 30 minutes to get business done, then you take that hour and a half. And we already talked, be familiar with Robert's Rules of Order, because that's parliamentary procedures all day long. What's the uniform of the day?
Legion cap.
I thought it was the white shirt. White shirt?
No.
It's just the cap, right?
Yeah.
That's still, and I know people think that it's a white shirt. A white shirt with the fancy pants. No. Cap. Be proud to wear your cap. Be proud to wear your cover. Wear it whenever you're doing a meeting. Yes, sir?
Just real quick, as you see us dressed today, I set the dress of the day for the district and for the trainers today. At a minimum, when you're gonna do a meeting, take into consideration that you're actually officers. Now, today we were going someplace after this, but normally, you would see me in a suit. You would see Commander Perez in a suit. My vice commander would be in a suit. Now, I'm not telling you you have to wear a suit at your meeting, but I'm telling you that if you walk in with your vest on, your cover on, and a writer's shirt, you're a writer. And I understand that this is the uniform, not for a post meeting. You are post officers, you should set the example. Now, again, that is post to post, you can do whatever you want. But at a minimum, if you're gonna be the post commander sitting in front of your people, you should at least be casually, I would say, slacks and some kind of a Legion shirt or something neat, so that you're putting out a good impression that you actually care about the position that you're representing for your post. Because you represent your post. It's not your position, it's actually your post position. Your position does not belong to you, it belongs to your post.
Amen. And so when you walk in, let's say someone was to walk in right now in the middle of our training, what should they do?
Salute the flag.
Quietly enter the room, salute the flag, and quietly sit down. Right? Cell phones always off. Someone in here I know owes Garcia some money.
I think he's the one that owes the money.
And-
No.
and-
It has never happened.
Very important how to make questions, or how to, when to take questions. Take questions at the end of after you're talking about your business, because guess what? I'm probably going to cover your question by the time we're done talking. During your meetings. Always be courteous of the chair and your comrades. Always. Give everybody an opportunity to speak. So, again, take charge, stay in charge. You are the presiding officer of the meeting. I already said it. Make sure that everyone's allowed to speak. Keep discussions on track. And save new or unrelated issues for good of the Legion. For good of the Legion. So opening ceremonies, we all know opening ceremonies. So we start with what? Think of how we ran the meeting today. How we started. Huge. Follow it. Do not cut corners. I don't need to go over this because it's right here in front of you, right? Follow it. Too many times we want to cut corners.
Lena.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Commander, I have a quick question. So I recently just got this. officer's cap,
Good.
Okay. And as I was kind of reading through it last night, I wanted to kind of be prepared. And there's a question that I have about that, that's a little different than this. And so, for an example, in the officer's guide, it talks about the sergeant of arms coming in, bringing the flag. and the post flag, and having that as a part of that opening ceremony, so that's when people are saluting to the flag. So I know that the room is usually already set up. So is that really just more or less for our post to come up with that prior to how the meeting's gonna be run, or is that?
Yeah, you can do it either way. You can present the colors every meeting if you'd like. That's all up to the post, how you wanna run your meeting, how you wanna present your meeting, how you wanna present colors. The district, we preset it, our post presets it, and whatever your post would like to do, it's up to the post. You can have them preset, like normally in a meeting, we'd have the flags out in front of the podium and in front of the POWMI. With them behind there's no chance of breaking colors. With this being a training session, we'd set it up this way. And your meeting setup doesn't have to be exactly like that chart, because your meeting hall, they're all different. You gotta set them up according to what your hall is. I guess I just did my Sergeant Arms training.
Thank you.
I think too, for us, Phil, one of the things a lot of posts I think do, and I know that we do, it's a matter of time, right? So it helps with the time constraints. If we're marching these colors up, that takes more time, and you know how we are down there. Those guys are always wanting to get in and get out. Slow down. But yeah, so we're pretty set because of that too. And then also, we have the riders meeting beforehand. So our riders have the flag set. So when the membership comes in, it's already set.
It's up to you.
Answer your question?
Does.
There you go. We good?
You're still doing your
We're ready.
training.
Okay, so again, for time's sake, we all know how we're supposed to start, open our ceremonies, and we know the order of business. And then closing ceremonies as well. Follow script. Make your own script, because I'm sorry, the one in the officer's guide is a little wordy and you can get lost.
Yep.
So make your own script, but stay on track. Is it moving at all?
Yes,
Yes.
this goes each line.
Oh, I have automation on there. Close your meetings. One thing I will say is when you open your meetings, say the preamble. Train your membership on the preamble. Train them, educate them, because that's going to keep them engaged and on track of the American Legion's mission. Do not bypass the preamble just to get things done in a quick manner. So, in closing, obviously successful post commanders become what? Successful district commanders. Successful district commanders become what?
Northern area commanders.
Area commanders. They're going to be successful in whatever they do. And you don't have to be a successful post commander and to be a district commander. You can stay at the post level, because that's where the hard work, the most important work gets done. You guys are the hands and feet of the American Legion. So, it starts at the post level, 110%. Any questions for me? Are you all ready to be successful post commanders? You cannot do it all. Everybody read this slide.
No one is indispensable.
We are all volunteering time and talents.
So does the hours,
This is huge. This is huge.
So, how do we calculate the hours spent for the commander and the other officers on the CPR?
So you should be keeping track, and when it comes to your CPR, you should be working on that throughout the entire year.
Right, so every meeting, count an hour, hour and a half for the commander, the adjutant. Is that what?
I wish it was that simple, because if it was only an hour and a half,
She's just
of
asking if
this
he has to
meeting,
calculate like that.
you spend a lot of time doing, post officers spend a ton of time. You're constantly working.
Right.
Yesterday, I so wanted a day off. Did I not want a day off? And guess what? My husband, and I told him, I said, I want you to stop me if I'm doing business, because I've been doing business nonstop for the Legion, for Honor Fight. And he stopped me yesterday, and I was like, you knew that was funny. I was like, I'm never gonna stop doing business. You're always doing it, so be careful that you don't cut yourself too much slack. That you're counting enough time for what you're doing.
For every position is what I'm talking about. So we calculate.
They should be doing their own and reporting that to you.
I see.
They should be doing that
So we
and
can,
reporting it to you.
so we could take like a monthly average times 12 months to get the total hours
You could,
just for the officers.
you could, but they need to be keeping track of their hours. Because what you don't know is what they're doing at home when they're not at the post. Yes,
And to add on your comments right now, I had asked one of my financial officer who's the, what's that, Excel specialist? No, Excel.
Excel spreadsheet.
How, no, how,
It's Excel.
he said Excel. Generate a form, a simple form. 1 to 31 on the first column, second column, hours, third column, miles, fourth column, contributions, fifth column, comments. So as you go through the day, okay, I did 4 hours. So all you have to do is just jot it down, 4 hours membership training or, business.
Phone calls, yeah.
And at the end of the month, I hand this over to Derek,
Adjutant.
what's his name? The adjutant. So in turn, the poor adjutant, he isn't juggling all these pieces of paper. He has a piece of paper, has my name, the month, all my hours, the totals on the bottom. So at his leisure, he can all put it in a pile and then add it up and do the consolidated report. Again, KISS. Keep it simple. That way, the simpler it is, the easier it is.
Scooby, do you have a PowerPoint?
Yes.
You wanna come get set up? Okay, remember, you're not indispensable, you can't do it all on your own, we're all volunteers. Be kind to each other. Questions, concerns? do
Yeah,
not
on those
hesitate
hours
to-
on the CPR report, so I'm not only a commander, I'm a rider as well. So are we consider that double dipping, or am I recording on both ends? Am I recording?
Both ends.
Okay,
Both ends,
okay, thank you.
yeah.
Yes.
And if you're a son, guess what? That one too.
That's another one, yeah.
Shoot.
Go ahead, Dave.
Right, 'cause when you report the data for the ALR,
Right.
that stays within the ALR.
Okay.
But you have to give that same data to your post commander, so she can then put it on their CPL, the same with the sons. Okay, the sons, they don't submit, riders do not submit their reports to go to Congress, but they give it to the commander, who then puts it on the CPR, sends it up, and then the national commander will then use that data and present it to.
Yeah, the reason I asked that, because it's a valuable lesson for me. I had not been recording, and I've been busy. I think this is something that, I'm not recording post hours for myself.
Okay,
I've been
guys.
doing all ALR,
Guys,
thinking I don't want to double
We're
dip.
training here.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
the only ones that can,
Thank you, Commander. Okay, we're gonna go right into adjutant training. Deborah?
and we'll take a break when Devron's done.
Yeah.
When we do discuss some
Take a quick 2-minute break.
Yeah, exactly.
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Thank you for coming.
Pretty good.
I actually have to welcome everybody to Post 137. Thank you for showing up. Here I am for post-adjuvant training. So one thing, do we have any
past or present admins here right now? Okay, I know we got a couple, okay. Now, the first thing is, okay,
The down arrow. There you go.
what is an admin? Anybody can tell me? Anyone? Mayor?
The commander's right-hand man,
That's
or
correct.
woman.
Right-hand person.
There you go.
Yep. All right, well, guess what? That is basically correct, okay? What?
Don't ever forget this. He is the legal representative of your post. All of the documents that he's signing are legal, binding documents. That's who he is. So if you're in trouble, commanders, throw him under. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, he's the one who signs all of your actual documents.
Yes,
It's
that
his,
is true.
it's his signature.
There is a little bit of that on here in a few. And I will be pinging on you about a couple of points in a minute. Okay, so we answered that about what adjutant. So the adjutant's charge. Okay, you have been chosen to assist your commander. Mention the word assist. Okay? These adjutants, you help everybody. Commander helps everybody. Your set committee helps everybody. Your membership helps everybody. But chosen to assist. But the adjutant is the main person involved in the post. Not the commander, not your secretary, not your chaplain, the adjutant. Okay? Effective administration of that office serve not only your fellow legionnaires, but also those whose relationship to the organization has led them to look for us for guidance and relief. You will find the duties many, and there are many, at times taxing for hours and resources. A lot of hours, trust me. The successful conflict of our program depends to a great extent upon you and your performance and duties of being adjutant. Okay, so one thing about that, like you said, there's a lot of paperwork, and you are the liaison between the exec committee and the membership. All right? Adjutant's job, okay, which I just said, it's not just recorded the minutes, but all activities revolve around the adjutant. Okay, so you got to make sure you take good record of recorded minutes, make sure you basic historical records, all your forms are filled out, which Commander had mentioned in her training. Make sure that all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. And make sure you have a record of everything previously, at least for the last 3 to 5 years. I like to say 7 because IRS likes 7, so I say 7 years. But 3 years would probably be fine. Okay, so many folks retain a good adjutant over a period of years as opposed to 1 year. Because you don't want to continue to change over your adjutant every year, because that would make no sense, because adjutant knows the process of the previous year or years prior. Like I've been doing adjutant for the post level, 10 of the last 12 years. Okay, so it does help, but it does get tasking after a while. But once you know it, you know it. All right, so the adjutant also, with that I said, provides continuity for the post. Like I said, commander can change every year. Your finance, now another one would be finance, but that's a different one. I'm not going to go on that. But mainly, two main persons that should have the same person do it at least for several years is your adjutant and your finance officer. Okay. One main thing, like I said, you know where, so hopefully you will know where your forms are, your minutes are, so you can go review every year and go through everything as the new incoming officers come in. All right. Now, this is a good Navy. I love Navy references. Commander navigates the ship, but the adjutant is the engineer who runs the ship machinery. Because if you don't have an engineer, you don't have those engines running, you ain't going nowhere. All right?
Go Navy.
Go Navy. All right.
Navy engineer.
Well, hey, I started off as a whole tech, but I became an AO. My day started by rooting somebody else. But anyway, adjutant is also the personnel officer, because he's basically overall in charge of the membership. Now, you might have a membership chairman or your first vice. Most officers have the first vice do it, but everything goes through the adjutant. Okay? because, he keeps a, record of minutes, keeps a record of the meeting, and keeps the record of your membership when you get your green sheets. All right? I'll go with that in a second too. I'll take it over. All right, and it also, like I said, it's a conduit between all levels, that means between the executive committee and the members, also between the post, the district, the department, and national. All right, and that goes all up and down, chain of command, and it goes from there. All right, any questions so far? Good. Now, we got some suggestions. I mean, that, you know, every post, you know, operates a little bit different because not every post can run the same way because what y'all involved, and if y'all have post property or not. All right, and like the commander, first thing that's added, only main thing qualification is your honesty and willingness. Because if you're not honest or you're not willing to do it, then why are you doing it? Same thing about the commander. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if you're willing to do it, put your whole heart into it because your job is important. Very important. And this goes through all, make sure if you are a new one coming in or will be coming in, you know, once you know you're going to be it, go through all your previous minutes that you have. That way you can understand how your post is set up, how your minutes are set up. Because when I first got it, because I kind of like, when I first got in there, because I kind of like got thrown into it because we had an issue with the previous command when I first got there, and I had no idea where everything was at. We were missing a lot of stuff, but that's good. So I had to go back and track and through everything else. Luckily, I had somebody from a couple cycles before that I knew they knew what they were doing, so I had to go back and look at how they did it and kind of like align it to that. But just make sure you go through, see how it has been done in the past, especially if you are new to the position. And that goes for basically all positions. All right? So once you go through that, and this also gives you insight into how your post is run, with policies and traditions, and okay, every year, okay, what programs and stuff you do throughout each month, and go that way you can help the commander set up an agenda for the whole year. You know, do that in July, June, July. That way you can, well, you sit down with your commander and you say, okay, well, we've got July, August, we'll do September, and go through the next year. So that way you can create a continuous flow so you're not at the last second. Oh yeah, by the way, you know, it doesn't really help you or anybody else if you just have to plan stuff at the last minute. I know sometimes it doesn't, I mean, sometimes it does happen that way where something does come at the last minute, but that's the way it goes. All right? And plus you got department and national always will come down and say, oh yeah, we got something that's coming up that's department involved or special visits from like national commander, department commander, stuff like that. All your minutes should be typed and kept as a permanent record. All right, and during your general assembly, you know, you should have like your officer reports, your committees, whatever committees you have at your post, and that way you can have a complete record. And like I asked before, how long should you keep meeting minutes? I mean, it depends on how you want to do at your post, how much room you have. You know, some may say 2, 3 years. You know, general synopsis is 7 years because that way you have a good flow going way back then. Yes, sir.
What about a digital record without suffice versus a written record?
Well, yeah, if you want to put it online and or like make it as a link, so everybody can put like, I know you're talking about like Facebook or some type of your website, you have a post website. Yeah, for sure. You put it on there. That way it's always there.
So
Yeah, for sure.
So that would qualify for the keeping your records for so many years?
Yes. Sure will. Yeah. You know, I mean, you always want to have at least the previous year written. That way, if you have to change or have to change, someone has a question, they can pull it right up. But if you have a website, You can go back to, 1954, whenever your post started. But yeah, that way it's always there on the website. That way, if, like I said, we're long gone 20 years from now, somebody, well, what did they do in 2024? Then you can go on the website and, oh, there it is. Yeah, so that would be fine. That would suffice too. Put it on the website.
So, just as a caveat to that, would you recommend a flash drive as a backup in case you lost everything?
Okay, I was gonna wait till somebody said that. If you're gonna be backing up these records, you better have something other than a thumb drive. This better be done on some sophisticated, or a storage unit that you pay for where you can recover, because I don't know about you, but yesterday, my commander sent me, an email thing and it just got lost. Literally, I was looking at it one minute and the next, I don't know if I hit it, so I don't know what happened. All I know, she had to resend it, yes? And the same thing can happen with these things. I can tell you, my presentation for today is on there, and I have 2 thumb drives and it's on both of them because it just happens. So if you're gonna do it, I would suggest you're using some professional type of storage type of device or company to ensure something so you don't lose it. That would be my advice.
Very true.
Yes. Yes, Dave.
Yeah, I think I was at maybe department training one time, and they said it's totally permissible to send your members the meeting minutes via email, but one should not make them public on a website. Your post newsletter, absolutely, but not your minutes or your financial report should not be made public. I don't know if there's any validity to that statement, but to me it makes sense.
I've heard it. I have also heard it, and again, I know exactly what you're talking about, and again, I'm not gonna go into a post and tell them how to do their business, but however, it makes absolutely sense. Because remember, our meetings are closed for a reason. You're conducting private post business. That's a fact. You don't have to let anybody into your meeting that is not a member of your post or a Legionnaire. But that's the way you do the meetings. So to me, that would, logic would transfer to, if they're closed private meetings, why would you make the content of a closed private meeting a public affair? Now, like you said, directly to a member, that's one thing. But again, I've heard both ways. I would not feel comfortable making that a public thing.
Well, it's
Not
a
those
target.
things.
It's a target, right? You publish your minutes on a website that has your financial report on it, and the public can get to it. Guess what? It makes complete sense. But I always, as post commander, was told that you always had your minutes on the bulletin board.
Right.
We always had it, to where any member could go to it, pull it off the bulletin board, and trust me, we print 30 copies a month because they disappeared.
And again,
So-
yeah, go ahead.
On that, or your financial, your 990 is available because that is a public document.
Correct.
But what I would suggest is, and I know you can do it on some websites, have a login where it's locked and only the members can go behind.
Yeah, maybe something like that would be different.
That's
That's a good idea.
Nancy, you had something?
Deborah, when I was the post adjutant at 283, we had our computer hard drive crash.
There you go.
So what we did, the post membership approved to get an external hard drive, and we copied all of our electronic documents over to, which up to and includes any DD 214s that you may get from membership that are electronic. So what we did was we copy everything over to the external hard drive, and that gets locked up. So you have an electronic record of things that you would like to keep, but maybe you need to have the space on your hard drive of your computer taken up. And we moved everything over. We had to pay a company to come in and try to recover the stuff off of the hard drive that crashed. And they were able to get a lot of our historical data, but that's how we did it at Post 283.
Yeah, so the bottom line, just got to be careful.
Yeah.
Because there are some pertinent information that, don't want to get out to the public, like, especially like finances or personal information of members. So any other questions? All right, okay, so now this is the big one, and I will need Landon's help with this one. All right, tax exempt information. All right, every post should have tax exempt information posted, somewhere visible, so that way, if the IRS, ATF, any of the alphabet soup that comes through, okay? Because it's very important for, especially for the American Legion and the Post, to keep their 501c nonprofit active, have to be posted and up to date and current, okay? And that includes, and should have to, admin should work with the post commander and your canteen manager if you have a canteen. I know some of y'all don't even have a post home, but the ones that do and have a canteen, just make sure it's, all your forms and documents are submitted to the right alphabet soup, IRS, and all that. So they have a file, so they won't bother you except when they need to. All right. So and that includes the next part, which is your normal forms, which, like I said, every year you have to make sure and that also goes with the CPRs. You have to make sure it's documented correctly. This includes your Form 990s. Your EIN, which is Employer Identification Number for the IRS, and then you have to do that with submitting an SS4, and it has to only be signed by the post commander. So the post commander has to make sure that they know about that. All your tax exempt status forms, and your post incorporation from the state. Commander, would you like to extrapolate a little bit on those, about those forms? Because I know last year, it was a question about those, but main thing is make sure that those forms are filled and submitted to the correct agency, okay?
The only thing that I would say on that is Denny hit on it, and it's very important. Our records are huge, and have a timeline. Have a timeline of when things are due. And give it, keep up with that, so when you're no longer the post commander, guess what? The incoming post commander knows right then and there. In April, we have to file this. In March, we've got to file this paperwork. Huge, 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 huge. 990s, 990s, 990s. If you do not file your 990s for 3 years, what happens?
You lose your tax exempt status. No, your tax exempt status.
Tax exempt, yeah, that's what I meant.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yes.
When Randy read the welcome today, he read the welcome saying this is to kind of give incoming and current officers. The reason we do training now, we used to do it sometime during the fall. We changed it now to get people prepared. You're going to be having an election at your post, and there's going to be a time period between that election and the day that I come or whoever comes to your post and does your installation. That time period is designated for you to do transition. If you're the post commander coming in and you're not the past commander, you need to be working with that commander that's going out to transition. You should be sitting down. If you look at your officer's operational guide, they actually tell you you are supposed to hold a meeting of all of your officers prior to you taking your oath of office. That meeting is supposed to be for you to sit down, set your priorities for that year, and ensure that all of that stuff that needs to get done is done. Does that mean, okay, let's just pretend that most of your officers are new. Okay, adjutant, you need to be talking to the other adjutant and making sure that the stuff, where is it? Where does it exist? What pocket does he have it hiding in? The commander needs to be sitting down going, where are we? What projects are going on at this post? That is a transition period. It's not, okay, I'm just waiting for you to leave because I don't like you. It's not about your personalities. when I took over post 202, that commander meeting, you know, Lena, he did not like me. And I still showed up at every meeting, every Monday when they had their meetings, and I forced the transition. Because I knew if I didn't force the transition, he was going to be more than happy not to tell me where he was hiding the keys to the bathroom. Okay? It is your responsibility. It's not for you to stand back and have your feelings hurt, and I don't want to have this conversation because I don't like Craig. That's not about that. You have a responsibility coming in to go in there and get that stuff. You know that part about being ambitious? That part about you're supposed to take control? That's when you take control. It's not about changing things. It's about going and making sure that you're ready to do your job. So all of you incoming officers or current, you're supposed to be holding a meeting. You're supposed to be transitioning. So that helps.
Thank you, Commander.
Yeah.
All right, and so everybody's clear on that. Now, the next thing is reports, okay? Besides the 9 items we just went through, there's another very important form that needs to be filled out at the end of the year, okay? Now, remember, the Legion year is 1 July to June 30th. But, however, the CPRs, it goes from 1 June to May 31st. Okay, those have to be submitted before it is submitted to the department. Normally, it's like the first week of May, it's due out of the department. Okay, best way trick is to decide everything that you do, whether it be hours, mileage, donation for all your programs that you run. You know, some folks, you know, only have a couple. You know, folks like our size, we have quite a few. But if you track it every month, and there is a way online, if you go to mylegion.org, there is a CPR link to submit all your numbers. And you can do it weekly, monthly, or you just want to wait till the end of the year, which I don't suggest you do, but you can do it as the time, as you know something's come through. You go in mylegion.org and update it. And that way, by the end of the year, it will calculate everything by the end of the year, so that way, at the end of the year, you're going to sit there last minute and then print out and send it through. Or you can, well, you always should keep a paper copy of it, but make sure you submit it to, that way department and national will get it. Okay? Because the main important for that thing is they use all the CPR from all across the 55 departments, okay, and they submit those numbers to Congress, so that way they see this is what the American Legion does. Okay, this is what we do to help our veterans and their families. This is what we do that we need the money for this project, this item, this situation. We need to make sure that we get all reporting documentation to them so they can understand why or what and who we are as American Legion. Okay, and all of that is mentioned about that. And then also part of that, the Department of Florida has a addendum that is just specifically for use for the department. So we can track the extra stuff, because some of that stuff that's going to CPR does not track to what the Department of Florida does. So there's an added addendum for that. So that way we'll see how it goes. All right? And then this is, that addendum for like any project actually that's not covered on the big form. You know, there are a couple other things I don't remember off the top of my head. I just got the report last week. I got to go back through it. But it's just basically like some of it's like the IA, some stuff with the riders is on that form, and other stuff like that. But it's just an added informational purposes for, because there's some numbers that are not tracked in their normal form. Okay? You know, and also with that, with the CPR addendum, it's always good to submit a narrative, like a picture narrative, to break down all, like say, all your other programs, or your auxiliaries, your, not really auxiliaries, but you can always put something that the auxiliary may do, your sons, your riders, your boy state, girl state, well, boy state, school medals, all your programs that your post runs, you know, hours, miles, donations, you know, it's always good. The more you brag about yourself, the better it's going to look for everybody. Because if you don't brag about yourself, nobody else will. Okay, does that make sense? All right. So that. Okay, now, the last one of the other things at the post officer certification, this goes for when when you do have your elections. You know, when somebody, you know, once your elections are complete, you'll have a form that says post office certification. Okay, this is, needs to be updated every year, regardless of if you have the same officer or not. But every year, that way you can make sure that, are they actually eligible to be a Legionnaire or be an officer of your post? There has been times in the past where people have slipped through the cracks, okay? But now with the Legion Act there, as long as you have honorable discharge and or retired, which you will be honorable discharge if you retired, make sure they are eligible Legionnaires to hold an office position. That is very key, because some people may have slipped through or doesn't have a correct certification or qualification to become a Legionnaire. So just make sure they are up to date and current, okay? And why is this important? Because of, like I just said, you know, they have to be, you know, if you look at the main national body, they have to be honorable discharge veteran of any of the services, okay? Any question on that? No. All right. Now, the next thing is your post mailing address. I know there are a couple posts that don't actually have a post home, but at least get a P.O. box, you know. Really, it's not good to have a member to use the member's home address as a post address, because there are some issues that you can run into, like say if that member happens to not be with us anymore, then what happens? You know, you lose a lot of stuff, and it'd be a hard time to try to change that information to a place where it's reliable. For we need at least somebody, 2 or 3 people to be able to access any incoming or outgoing mail. All right, and you know, I mean, there are things that you know get by, but you will have very hard difficulties if you have a individual using their home address as a post home address. Okay. And with that, are there any other or any main questions, comments, concerns? Well, that is my report for admin.
All right.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. It is
Our bed,
The bottom.
the bottom.
arrow, just moves you forward.
How many people in here are finance officers?
I'm back.
This is for you.
Passed.
Did you get into my saying that, well, if nobody else wants it, I'll do it?
Pretty much.
Pretty much? Yeah,
Pretty much.
that's right.
Guys.
Well, what you see up there first is the responsibilities. This is what's on this, but once you take office, look at your constitution bylaws of your post to make sure that they go right along with this. That, you know, we can read this together. Are we together today? Are they together?
Sure, we'll read together.
Okay. All right, we'll start off saying you are the
Keeper of the money. And in you is imposed the financial policy of the post. To you is given charge of the year's budget, and to you is given the duty of the payment of all obligations when proper authorization has been given for such payment. Your position is an important one, demanding integrity and honesty. Your election to this office signifies your comrades have implicit trust in you. Guard well that trust.
Let's repeat that last statement.
Guard well that trust.
Yeah. Good. Did it go? Go.
It's backwards.
I'm backwards or it's back?
It's backwards.
The arrow.
There.
There you
I'm first I couldn't get here, and then I forgot shit. It's not a good day.
Watch your language.
For some reason it's not working for you. There you go.
That's,
I just,
you did it?
did you do it?
I didn't do it.
Then I did it.
You did it.
All right, I'll just hit it for you then.
All right. If this is your first time doing this, don't feel bad, because every year, there's, according to the statistics, there's 14,000 brand new finance people. So it's a start off for each and every one of us. Go ahead and click it again there. Dollars, to get into one of the first things is the EIN number. Everybody familiar with the EIN number?
What's an EIN number?
It's, of course, right here. It'll tell you. It's right here.
What is the
The
IN?
employee identification number. There you go. See, there's information, it's just so flowing, it's just flowing. So, of course, when you get into it, just get a little deeper, and you see all the stuff that's required from your post, you go, holy crap, we're gonna get all crap on. But anyway, the next slide. Like this slide.
Go back.
There you go. That's the things that you are required to have available when they do an audit, when people from the district come in and do your audit, and someone's shaking their head, go, what the hell? I've never seen any of this stuff before. But all of that should be somewhere in your post. Our canteen manager managed it for it because she's the liquor license, and there's other things that she's involved in all the insurances that we have to have. So if you can get that down into one place, and if you need some of these forms, let me know. I can maybe steer you in the right direction. Once you get it together, don't lose it, like lose presentations in the morning. But that's all the things that you have to have when they come and do your audit. Right, Commander?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go next slide. Property deeds, insurance posts, previous year's taxes, you gotta save for 7 years. If you say DD 214, make sure you block out the social security numbers. Some posts don't keep them, they just use them to verify and then come back. I'm not familiar with the new system. When I was first vice, they didn't have it as far as membership. I would imagine it's in there, isn't it? All that stuff's in there?
In mylegion.org? No, nothing to do with DD 214 or anything like that.
I didn't know that, okay. All right, all that stuff keep under lock and key along with that, all of your documents and things, because people will go in there and jump around looking for stuff and you'll lose it. That's fine. All right, now we get down into the stuff. Go ahead next. All right, when you first, if you're the first finance officer and you're setting up your system, how do you want to set it up? You want to set it up in a ledger or you want to set up a computer? One of the things, if you have more than 100 checks a year, you probably want to do it manually. And believe it or not, you go down to sales and you can get a book that tells you all about it. American Legion's official cash record. You can order that online. Or you can go to computer system, which is, you can just go on, QuickBooks, or you go to QuickBooks Online.
Yep.
You can set it all up. One of the things that have all your finances in there, the sons, the riders, everything, so it's all.
District.
Huh?
The district.
Yeah. Well, it depends. And then the next thing you do is online, you can download this book. It says Finance Officer, How-To Guide. And it's got all the information in there, that's totally confusing. So, all your chart accounts, everything in here. It all depends how big your post is. My advice is if you get in there and you get buried in things, ask for help before you can't get out of the hole. Because that, what'll happen to you is there's tax things you have to get done and all that kind of stuff. In some cases, if you're big enough, get yourself a bookkeeper, get yourself a CPA. They'll help you through all that and get you over the hump and make sure that all the filings are right and all that. So it's sometimes you can get it to be a real burden. Budgets. How many have budgets here for the post? Everybody? Are you on budget right now? Do you use it to have budget? You might
Money lady's back there.
Who's on budget or not. It's a good thing that
We're a little over budget.
yeah, but that just means your budget's wrong.
Well, yeah.
wants to get finance committee together. You sit in a room, you look at some historical data, and then you decide what you're gonna spend. And then you present that on a statistical basis to the general membership and say, this is our history. What do you guys wanna do? How much money you wanna save, how much you want to give out to charities, which charities you wanna give it out to every year, what's automatic, what's not. You know, there's so many times you have somebody come in, they have an issue that they need support from, but it probably doesn't fit for the Legion to do it. Maybe you can steer them a different direction, but that's one of the things that is, I can't tell you enough that's very important. You get that down, so you know what's happening. You're not, as I'm sure you don't like surprises. I sure as hell don't like that surprise when you look at the statement and you go, what happened here? You know? And then what bank are you in? You know, that's another thing. We switched banks because the bank that we had before was across the street from the post, and that's what they always used. Well, there was no benefit to staying in that bank. It was just walking across and making a deposit. That's why it was there. So we looked at different options. It took us about a year to measure out where's the best place to keep our money. Right now we're in Wells Fargo because they have a pretty good investment plan. But then you have to be careful when you go into some of these banks. They're going to charge you to have a bank account, how many checks you write, and all that kind of stuff. That's another area that you got to take a look at. If you can get into situations where they have some kind of a financial investment arm, then you can usually get free checking because they want your money to invest. So it took us about a year and a half to finally get that in position. We had 6 different organizations we looked at, and then trying to convince the membership to leaving the money in a no interest account to move it over to someplace. That was the hardest thing to do, was to get the membership to understand that you get nothing over here. If you move it over here, you might get 4 or 5%, but if you put part of that over here, you can get 22 or 23 depending on the market. Depends what you want to do. So it was hard to bridge that because some of the older thoughts when it comes to finance. There's another thing when you go in and you take a look at your books. I'm probably getting ahead of myself here. There was back in the day, there was a reason to have separate bank accounts for auditing purposes, because you didn't have QuickBooks online. You didn't have ways to do it, to keep things separate. So when you do an audit, you can make sure that your finances stays with the writer, it stays with the canteen, it stays with the son, it stays with whatever that you set up inside of even QuickBooks, what you can do. So back in the day, people just kept separate bank accounts. So you had 7 or 8 different checking accounts, but you had all this stuff. So there's a way that you can take all that and consolidate down into one account, which you're gonna have sub-accounts in there. But it's just an easier way to track it, if you can make that transition. Go ahead, Nick, next slide. Uh-oh. Is there already hip or something?
I'm getting old, yes.
Next slide.
50's coming.
Okay. Yeah. All right, when you get into this magic book, they'll tell you how to set up your chart accounts. And if you get in there, it depends how big you are. Again, you can have one that looks like this, or you can have one that looks like that. All depends what the demand of the post is. So, again, when you get into it, step back and take a look, take a big breath and say, is this the way we really want to do this? And is there an easier way and an error-free way, if there is such a way to do error-free, because you make mistakes all the time. That's what people do. What do you have next slide? The monthly fight with everybody to give the reports to the meeting. Everybody's required, and I know of all the bylaws that I've read, that they have to present something to the general membership meeting once a month. I don't know of any exception to that. Now, it's how you do that is really how flexible you want to be. Now,
one of the, at our post, one of the, programs just presents his statement. It has everything on it, all signed. As far as I'm concerned, as far as the financial guy, that's it, you know, that's what they've got. Other people would come in and just be brief on, we wrote 3 checks to this place, we deposited that. That's a financial report, you know. So it all depends how busy the programs that are attached to the post are. Then you get into, when you get into Boyd State, you get into these other things, then you gotta watch that to make sure that the people, if you happen to be the hoarder, collector of the money, keep that separate from the rest of the stuff. And again, you could do that in some accounts, in QuickBooks, and do it relatively easy. But the finance report monthly to the general membership is a requirement. So if the guys aren't doing it, make sure that they're doing it now, so they can comply with the constitutional bylaws and posts.
Gotcha.
Auditing committees. When's the best time to have an audit?
Anytime.
When you don't need one. Right.
Before the next guy takes over.
Right. And so that way that they know that you're passing up a good set of books. And that's one of the things that if you're big enough and you can afford to do it, if you have bookkeepers, that helps a lot. If you have a CPA, that helps a lot. So when they do that audit, it can be fast and furious to make sure everything balances and everything. So, but again, if you're like a mid-range organization or a small organization, you get 2 people together that actually had a check register before, and they've seen things, and be able to just balance it out to do the audit. But it should be done annually. It should be done when there's transfers of people back and forth. But again, if you have the ability to have an outside structure or a contractual people that do it, they report back to us when they reconcile accounts every month, and so on and so forth. So that's also part of that audit for you. Questions? Isn't that easy?
Easy.
How much money can we get? No.
No. I can't emphasize enough that if you do become a finance officer, you'll never have to worry about somebody running against you as a rule. That's usually yours for life. But you want to set it up, number one, to make sure it's correct in the first place. And that's why if you get a little outside help to set up the books, do it right the first time. And you want to go back and fix it. And then sometimes with your general membership, they get stuck in a rut, and you got to nudge them a little bit. Like on the post, our post, where it's about being location. That's why we kind of are where we are, and we have some real innovative people inside that started some things a few years ago. That now that when we get audited by the outside legality people, they just kind of walk by. So that's kind of to our advantage. But really and truly, you got to take it one step at a time and follow. Have a plan. This is a plan. No, I'm not allowed. Did anybody stand up? Can't ask questions. Go ahead.
So, as post commander of Post 9, we had very little money. But I will tell you the best thing that we ever did as a post was we had a CPA. I think every post should have a CPA that actually looks over their books. It keeps everybody honest. Not that we're being dishonest, but we don't know what we don't know, and we're not finance gurus, so on and so forth. So a CPA, I strongly suggest that every post should at least report to a CPA,
right.
Once a year, minimum.
Yeah.
We did the same thing. At Post 202, we were not a big post, and when I took over, we didn't have a lot of money. And we searched her out. We had a lady locally who does, every year, she put her little sign out there. She does taxes. She was a CPA, but she did this to make extra money. And we approached her. and said, hey, we're a small post, we're in your community, what can you do to help us? And she used to literally come in every Monday. It cost us like $20. She just wanted, I think the pay was more so she wouldn't say she was doing it for free than it was to make money, because she was supporting the local American Legion post. So sometimes you can go out. You'd be surprised what some people are willing enough to give back to us. And it really helped us being a small post, because she would do all of our books, and then, she would tell us, here's your deposit, and then we would run the money and stuff, but she would make sure everything was up to date and everything. We did that every week for our post meeting, and she came in, like I said, it was a minimal fee. So don't think you can't afford it. Go out and ask somebody, hey, I see you do this. Are you, or maybe she's not a complete CPA, but she's an accountant or something else that they can still help you to keep it up and going. Just a suggestion. A bookkeeper, right? Just somebody.
The audit books, it's the reconcile books.
Yep, and that's what she used to do for us. And for us, it provided an outside eye that did not have a dog in the fight.
Yeah.
She wasn't there. She wasn't even a post member. She was just come in. And she just did the numbers. So.
Yes.
I would recommend everybody, if you're not on QuickBooks, to get on it. That's the gold standard for accountants.
Yeah.
Everything they can just download and look at it real quick. The only problem I have now with them is they're doing like everybody else is doing. It's all online, rather than putting it on your desktop.
Yes.
And by doing that, like when we had the nonprofit version, you can do all your budgets and everything. Now the online version, we're paying $13 a month for, you have to spend the additional for like $100-some a month in order to get the budgeting aspect of it. So they've done that, and I've complained to them about it. I said, man, that's not right, but it's just the way it is. I mean, even Adobe for their PDF went to online subscriptions. Yep. And you can't do it anymore.
Your business.
When I first took over as finance officer, there was 12 different accounts, or 9 different accounts, different checking accounts.
Wow.
All this stuff. Like Lotto, that's gonna be separate because the state money's gotta go in and out, so you keep that separate. You just keep it separate, and it's easier to track it. But we had all these accounts, but they still did it in QuickBooks, desktop QuickBooks. So, went online, and you thought I killed somebody. When I went online with it, got that done. The campaign manager, oh no, you can't do that. You can't go on the, yeah, you can,
You can, they did.
Yeah, and what would happen is the bookkeeper would take the desktop, she'd copy that over, and then reconcile it and put it back in there. Well, if you did anything in between that, you lost it. And that's what happened to us about 3 or 4 times, and that just wasn't worth it. It just wasn't worth to do it. Because the bookkeeper was kind of doing it when she had time to do it. And we didn't pay her much either, so we couldn't demand it, and then all of a sudden here come back in.
Because she didn't do it often.
And what the hell am I doing? So you gotta go back, and there's another opportunity to make a whole bunch of mistakes. So with your online, well then, she goes in and messes with it, and we don't care, that's all up to date. Yes.
I was just gonna say, guys, I've been a pro advisor for QuickBooks since 2007.
And your number is?
I'll be happy to give it to you. If you ever run into any problems, literally, especially QuickBooks Online, there are some nuances versus QuickBooks Desktop, so I'll definitely give you my contact information before we leave if you have any questions.
Nice.
Good? Thank you, Jim.
Okay, let's go right into Sergeant at Arms training. Timothy Pratt, our Assistant District Sergeant at Arms.
I think we already had him talk.
Yeah, I thought I was already done.
Well, just say what you said and say it faster.
Yeah. Don't stutter this time.
You said I didn't write it down.
Jim didn't hear a word of it.
I can download that pamphlet.
I'm a quick gal. I like it.
Hey, Jim,
One noise.
you didn't hear him when he talked the last time, did you?
What's that?
You didn't hear him when he gave you the speech the last time?
No.
Exactly.
He was just a little slower.
I'm looking
You
at
want me to
small
run?
screens.
You want me to run this clicker, or do you want to run it? Down there. You guys push it pretty good.
Okay.
Practice.
All right. So like I said, Sergeant, I was, the first I'll go back over what I said before. Real quick. Well, no, I'll wait till, because that same chart is in here, so I'll wait till I get to that one. All right, can you read this?
Yes.
First of all, how many sergeant at arms do we have, or incoming sergeant at arms do we have here?
How about pass on that?
You don't need to see this, you're not gonna do it again, Chris.
Not right now.
All right. So you're the tiller, sentinel, the tiller, outer guard of this post. You will guard especially against the loss of one of the American Legion's greatest possessions, our deep and abiding spirit of comradeship. You will learn the identity of and introduce to the commander all visiting members and guests of the post. You're responsible that no one shall remain a stranger in our midst. Be ready at all times to assist your commander. Into your hands is given the charge of the stand of colors, which you will properly display at all post meetings and on ceremonial occasions. Our post, we have a color guard, but we direct the color guard. And just basically give the commands to the color guard captain, post colors. Pretty simple. The sergeant arms should know how to set up a meeting hall for all meetings, including custodian of the colors. Sergeant arms must make certain new members are welcome. Yeah. As far as, let me go back a second, just the custodian of the colors. What I was talking about with Lena a little bit ago. As custodian of the colors, you're the color guard during the meeting. And it was put out to us, Walter Rasco, the other sergeant arms, and I've read it, but I haven't got a copy of it. As honor guard, you remain covered throughout the meeting. You don't speak during the Pledge of Allegiance. You're under a salute. You remain covered.
We do the speaking.
Yes, they do the speaking. So her thing with the introduction for the meeting said Sergeant Arms will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The Sergeant Arms will not lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance if they're doing it
Correctly.
Sergeant makes sure new members are welcomed, introduced, and made to feel they are important to the post, and they are important to the post. Meet with the commander prior to the meeting to see if there's any guests that are to be expected and any special requirements they may have to set the meeting room up properly. If you got whatever reason you need to set up differently than you normally do, somebody handicapped or whatever, because we have a stage in our post and there's no ramp to that stage. We'd have to set up a little differently if we have somebody in a wheelchair coming to the site.
Fair.
You serve the commander and parliamentarian in order to ensure an orderly atmosphere during the meeting. That doesn't mean you interrupt and correct the procedural things that happen during the meeting. I learned that the hard way.
I'm not going to ask.
Announce the meeting is about to begin, ensure members are making their way to the meeting hall, make sure their phones are off or on vibrate. We do, as a district, and most posts do, have a $5 fee for a phone ringing during the meeting.
Or going off.
Or going off.
So you owe us $5?
Yeah, because my notifications still go off, I know. It doesn't, airplane mode doesn't stop notifications from my calendar. I got you. Escort guests and speakers to the podium, obviously. Now, like I said, the room setup. That's a general idea of how to set up the room. It's not gospel. Not everybody's room is shaped the same way. Like I said, we have a stage. We set up tables perpendicular to the front of the stage with the officers sitting at the outside of those tables. But you can set them up however you like. And colors are out actually in front of those tables with the POWMI chair out in front of the colors. But that's a good guideline to start with. We have 4 vice commanders in our post and 2 sergeant at arms, so they're left off that line right there tells you that's not gospel. Any questions?
Yeah. Question I've always had pertaining to escorting individuals up to the podium.
Okay,
Okay, we all understand that we clap in cadence, which is supposed to, I believe, walk at the same tempo as the clapping, right? But when does the clapping stop? Once you arrive at the flag?
it should stop at the flag to when they render the salute. Either one, yeah. It should stop then.
That's what I thought.
Are they done? Are you gonna stop them?
Well, I think most people want to be correct.
Right.
But we assume, but we don't know things.
Right. Well, if somebody's stopping to render a salute, that's when that clapping should stop, absolutely. Any other questions? Huh?
That was a good
That is a good question.
Just a note, Tim, because we can't do it here. The breaking of the colors. Are you guys familiar with what that means? Breaking of the colors. No.
No,
It's hard.
if the colors are set out in front of the meeting,
Right.
you don't pass between the colors. That's hallowed ground.
Right.
That should be in here, but
Yeah.
But
not really,
not all 55 departments.
yeah.
Well, I know, but
No, that's very important for them to know if they travel to other departments. There is, most departments do not differentiate hollow ground. They don't recognize it at all.
That's the first time I've heard that, actually.
The majority of them.
Lena, in our recent meeting I had with auxiliary, they mentioned that actually we're the only ones in Florida that does hallowed ground.
Our district's the only one?
No, department. We're the
Department of
only
Florida.
department.
Yeah.
Department of Florida's the only one that,
Yeah.
You
So-
didn't know
I didn't know
that?
that.
You just learned something new.
I just learned something, absolutely.
So we're here in Florida. So at your post, the way we do it here is when those flags are normally up
Up
in
front.
front of the commander like that. Like with ours, they're up, and we don't have to worry about it. Again, we don't have the room, so it's up against behind us, right? But for everybody else, it's just, and I've done it too. You know, you want to say something to the speaker or somebody, I'm up at the stage or one of my guys, and they go straight to me because that's the nearest thing with the, and then somebody will yell,
In
ah,
our
because
post,
you,
in our post, we have the chairs out this way with the
right.
vice commanders and finance officer at those tables. The flags are outside of there. The POW, we have an empty chair and a POW chair. And there's only about 3 foot between those chairs and the flags on each side. But every meeting, we stop somebody to go start going through, between them to go up and talk to the commander, instead of going around and stuff up on the stage.
Because it's right there.
And but there's a railing on the stage and the openings are on both sides. You have to go around it to get to the openings,
Right.
but they want to step through to talk to them over the railing.
Is the county explains to them who's supposed to go on the left side and who's supposed to go on the right side?
Okay. I've read different things, or I've seen different things. What I've read is veterans go to the left side, the flag side, and non-veterans to the other side. Veterans render this salute, non-veterans render this salute. A lot of posts, and when I was first started, it was, you take the men to the flag side, women to the other side. But that's not how it's written and how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's one of those weird situations on
Yes.
that, because now we have women veterans.
Well,
Obviously, she will
well,
go to the right.
yeah,
To the left.
To the left,
Left, I mean,
to the speaker's right,
yeah.
yes.
Yes, pertaining to the salute, I've seen multiple people, multiple organizations do things differently. I believe back when George Bush was president, he rendered a resolution that said veterans can salute when they're covered at special events, right, like ball games,
Right.
etc. Okay, I've always been taught that if you're covered, you render a salute to
taught the same thing,
Okay.
so you've been watching me when I go up there. I
Right.
cover-
What do you mean?
But
But,
the idea behind what he was doing when he made that whatever you want to call it, the idea was to separate us from everybody else that was doing this, to allow us to actually render a military salute,
Right.
so that when the people saw you in public, you were being separated. That was the whole idea behind why they did that. It was so you could be recognized. Oh, he is saluting like a veteran.
completely understand, but I've always had an issue. The Navy taught me one way, I'm gonna follow the way the Navy taught me. You know, it's the cover.
Right.
Women don't have to uncover during prayer. I have an issue with that, because I wasn't differentiated when I was in the military.
I've seen something that's different with that now also, and women do uncover.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Another thing about that too, women, now, it's been, yes, no, maybe, it's been changing,
Yeah.
women not having to uncover while they're eating.
Right.
They,
And so I have to say, yes, no, yes, no. and
they
That
don't
was-
have to, according to the according to
The Legion.
Yeah.
They do not have to uncover when they're in prayer, they do not have to uncover when they're eating, and the thought process behind it is they don't wanna mess up their hair, because some women, they use bobby pins, this, that, and the other. We can spend all day
All right.
talking about this, but
Okay,
time
yeah.
is of the essence.
Okay. Well, any other questions?
Last question, just clarification, going back to the salute. So, the Sergeant at Arms, if you're already in the meeting, the Sergeant at Arms is securing the door, and someone comes in the middle of the meeting, is the Sergeant at Arms?
No.
Keep them out.
They have to stay out.
Hey,
Until
hey,
the
So
opening.
once the meeting.
Once the opening's over.
Once the opening's over, you
Yeah.
can
Right,
let
you
them
can let
in,
them in.
yes.
So at that point, does that person then come in and give the salute to the
That
flag?
person should come
And then
in,
sit down?
salute colors, and sit down.
Okay, and then likewise, if that person or a person were to leave the room
Salute on the
during
way
the
out.
move.
In
then
the,
salute.
in the Sergeant Arms manual, and I don't have one in front of me right now today, it's on my computer and I couldn't access it. They give you a procedure for coming in and rendering salute. You don't go across the front of the meeting, you go around the meeting. Like I said, that depends on the building, because some places you can't go around the meeting.
Right.
You stay to the outside and don't cross in front of the speaker. Like I said, some places you can't do that just because of the way your meeting is. And he said it was the last question, so it was the last question.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move right along. Let's, go into membership at mylegion.org. Mr. Miguel Garcia.
Thank you, brother.
Cool.
Yeah, we can't have a meeting without talking membership now, can we? It just wouldn't be right. So let me get this started here.
Either one.
I'm gonna do version 2 in case I wanna like, let me double check. Yeah. Is it up there? So I can see it. Slides are actually moving. All right, guys, membership training. We're not gonna go through how to use mylegion.org or all of the pluses or minuses of using mylegion.org. We don't have enough days in the month to get to the points. Okay? What we're gonna be talking to you about today is about what you need to do and be prepared as you do your transition into mylegion.org. In other words, getting ready for the new people that are gonna be taking over. Or even if the old people are in place, because they start the process over every single year. Okay? So membership, so what kind of membership training to get you prepared to do membership at your post. Okay? Now it's not working? It moved, right? All right. In order for you to do membership, you have to have a personal account. Okay? You're gonna have to register an account. Okay? All of our mylegion.org accounts are personal accounts. Okay? And here's the catch. If you're starting a new account, you have to use the email that is the email of record with National, not your email address. If you change your email address since you joined, they didn't change it for you. It's going to have the original email address that you provided however you got registered into as a new member. Whether it's the old way where you came in, you fill out a little form, and then the post went in and sent that information out on a paper form, or whether you're a new member, you get it online. They're looking for that email that you first registered with. That is the email of record. So if you changed your email since then, guess what? Unless you notified somebody, your old email is still there. Okay? So that's the first thing we need to do. As I said, all of your mylegion.org accounts are personal accounts. That's what they are. They are a personal account. The only difference, so what is the difference? The difference is when you become authorized to do membership, or you're a new adjutant and you're allowed to give permissions, or a commander, they add a link onto your personal page called My Groups, and you're going to be seeing it here in a minute. Under that My Groups, I'll show you here in a minute, it allows you to perform the duties that you've been authorized to do. If you're the adjutant, that's going to give you the option to be able to do membership yourself. It's going to give you the option to give other people authorizations to do membership themselves. Or what access you want to give them. There's 5 different levels of access that you can have. You now as the adjutant, and again, I said adjutant, I haven't said commander. The adjutant is also the primary person in charge of managing your mylegion.org account at your post. Okay? So when you get ready to go and start and opening up an account, or if you already have an account, make sure. Go in and check it. See what that email address is. Okay? So what's the safest thing to do? Go to the guys doing membership already and go, hey, look me up. Look at mylegion.org and tell me what email account is there. And you're probably going to go, that's not my email account. Well, it is right now. And until you get that changed, either by the adjutant at that moment, before you open up your own, whatever the case may be, that's the account we're going to be needing. If you don't, and you call me, both of us are going to be very unhappy. And the reason you're going to be, and I'm going to be unhappy, because for some reason, that is the hardest thing to fix in mylegion.org. And there's a reason for that. This is mylegion.org. The reason I have this screenshot up here is because the second most popular question I get when somebody's trying to get there, and I go to this page, is they go, I don't see what you're seeing. I don't see what you're seeing. And I spend a half an hour, and I finally just go take a picture of the website. And I go, okay. Because what they do is they go to legion.org, not mylegion.org. Both of them have a little thing where you can do membership and sign up, but they're not the same page. This is the page you need, and of course you can see in the link line it says mylegion.org. This is the page you want to go to. And if you look really, really close, let me see if I can get the thing to work. No, it doesn't work on there. You see where it says register? That is where you're going to go in and basically create your personal account. It'll go through and ask you a whole bunch of questions, and what's one of the questions it's gonna ask you? Your email address. You put a different email address in there other than that one you didn't ask for, and you call me, we're both gonna be angry for a while. I'm just telling you, it is that complicated. Don't do it. Don't do it. Go talk to get that email address before you do this. Okay? Now, let's say you already have a personal account. I'm just asking you this. Check with the adjutant. Make sure it's the same. Just make sure it's the same. It should be. Everything says it's obvious, but it has happened where it's not. Just find out. And then go in and change whatever you need to change. Okay? All right, here's what I was talking about. If you look at this page, once you sign in, you have registered your account, you'll see where it says My Account. Well, if you look right over here, that little blue square where it says My Groups, that is what separates someone's ability to have access and it just being a personal page where you can go in and change your own demographics or update your own records. That is the thing that I will ask you if you call, or you would call the membership chair for the district. That's the first thing he's going to ask you to open up. When you open up, do you see that little My Groups? If that My Groups is not there, you don't have authorization to do anything other than your own personal web. It is not an account that's usable. It is only usable for you. It's only your personal account. It is not anything else. You'll click on that little arrow, and as you see on mine, you'll see I have access to the 5th District, 5th District Legion, the 5th District SAL accounts, and I have access to Post 37. Now, in my case, because I've been doing membership for so long, I requested my post allow me to stay on. I don't process membership for them, but what I do with that is when somebody has a problem, and I think it might be something that's within mylegion.org, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to access a page that works at the post level. So by having that, I'm able to go in there and check if there's a problem in the processing or something is going on that I would otherwise not be able to see. So I thank my post for them for letting me do that. And that's all I do. I don't process, believe me, I don't process membership for them. Okay?
Why not?
Because I don't want it. So, but it's there. And it allows me, it also allows me, when the department sends me a thing saying that my membership is here, I go and I check my own post, and I go, you have a problem. It's not on our end. I have these processed at my post. You have these numbers at my post. The roster says I have this many people at my post. 2 weeks ago, the department membership chair ended up sending everybody a bunch of emails. That was generated because of a phone call I had with him when I said to him, your numbers are wrong. And I can do that because I can see that one post. So if it's bad at my one post, chances are there's members missing at the other posts. And then I go, you guys need to fix this. Or if I need to know how much time, a post calls me and says, hey, I don't know what's going on here. I haven't processed for 3 weeks. I can go into our post, check a process, a batch that's in there, and see what the time is. So I have an idea of how long it's been taking. I can use our own post kind of as a data and for a historical record so I know what's happening throughout the district. Okay? So that is the 2 different pages. Again, so if you do not have that my groups in there, or the people that you give access to as an adjutant or as a commander, that's your first hint that you have a problem, and for whatever reason, they don't have actual access to perform whatever duties you want them to have. As I said earlier, membership management is provided only to the adjutant and to the commander. That is who National provides the access to. If you look right underneath it, the next line says that you need to submit your post information officer report as soon as you know it. That is the form that National uses to authorize the initial post members who are going to be authorized to manage mylegion.org accounts at their posts. So if you sit on that form and you don't send it out, the department is first going to be beating up on me, then I'm going to be beating up on you, because I need that form in as soon as you know who those new officers of record are, so that we ensure that we have a smooth transition. That's the form that they're using. Same account. Let's say your commander is in there, you're 3 months in, 5 months in, 7 months in, 10 months in. Something goes wrong, commander has to be replaced, or an adjutant. You need to immediately send out an adjutant commander change form. Same concept. It's going to go to national. You send it to department is going to forward that to national, so they can again have the proper people with the right authorizations in order to maintain and to run the My Legion program. So I can't express to you how important it is for you to make sure, okay? Once you have the initial people at the post who have access, and again, normally, it's going to be your adjutant and commander. Commanders, do not be surprised if the first time you go there, you don't have access. It happens every year. Every year I'll have somebody, again, I don't run national, but they'll make sure that adjutant has it. You're just not that important. Okay? And you can have your adjutant give it to you, but that doesn't work that way. You really need to contact the department, because they, obviously if you don't have it, something is not right at national and it needs to be fixed. Even if you can temporarily give that person that access, you still need to contact me or somebody else to make sure that that documentation goes up. Yes, the adjutant could very easily give it to the commander. But so what happens if something happens to the adjutant? Exactly, because they're not going to have him on the record. Make sure that that paperwork gets sent up so they keep going, okay? The adjutant is the primary member who has the authorization. Any questions so far? Yes?
So, I took over adjutant in a mid-year situation, and they were having problems with transmittal of authorization 3 or 4 different times. So I went to that little click help, went down, opened a ticket, gave my membership number, had the right email, but I had a duplicate account.
Correct.
But that little help button where I opened the ticket, that person within a week had it corrected.
But it did need to be corrected. Okay. Yeah.
More to feedback on you. So they had you in under what, 2 membership numbers?
Yes.
So you were transferred from another post?
Not necessarily.
No.
It can happen it can happen any number of ways.
Well, no, I came out of New York, so
No, I understand. I know. I'm responding to you. You asked one question because I said possible, but it can happen in multiple ways how you can end up with 2 things.
Yeah, when I joined the post, not AD 400, for 14 years, and then when I went to a mid-year adjutant, and the person at National figured out that I had a duplicate 2 memberships. And they
So how do we get duplicates, guys? Anybody?
Oh, I generated one yesterday.
Well, prior to the search engine that's on mylegion.org, you'd have somebody come in as a new member at your post, and they'd say, I've never been a Legionnaire before. And they wind up, you put them in as a new member, and all of a sudden, they've got 2 numbers.
Right. That's one. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go around.
No, that's what I was gonna say, or they forgot they were a member years
Okay.
ago, and they haven't renewed in years, and that's the reason why.
Somebody goes online and renews online as a new member
Correct.
instead of using.
The number one reason and way that it happens is when you go online and when you select if you want to renew, or you don't hit renew and you hit new because you just think, oh, I'm renewing new, and they give you another number. Now,
But I had the same number, and I always sent a check in it for 14 years. So it was just a fluke.
yeah, and you have those too.
Yeah,
But what I'm talking about is the ones that we create ourselves.
right.
It can happen, okay?
Your first vice screws up putting a new member into the.
Oh, it happens all the time. Alright, when National goes and offers them a new membership for $25.
Really,
Yes, I had to go there.
Yeah, happened to us.
And they click, and all of a sudden they show up at your post, go and give me your membership card, and then you find out, okay, you just lost money, and you go, I can't find you in the system. And you can't find him in the system because he's got a different number. Okay, and there's another way. This one's not as common, but it does happen. People that have not renewed for a couple of years. Sometimes the system will not allow you, especially if they're transferring, and it will force you to start them out as a new member. It does happen. It does happen. We've had numbers where we could not transfer them any other way but to start them new because they had a break in service. The system is not perfect. And then, of course, when that happens, yeah, things can get crazy. But transition as soon as you can. Okay? Remember what I said earlier? That time period, from the time you're elected to the time you raise your right hand? What did I call that? No, what did I call it? Transition. What should you be doing? You should be working with your counterparts. Don't wait until the responsibility for membership falls on your hands. You're not going to be happy. Don't open up the thing, go through a couple of pages and go, oh, this is easy. It's not. There's so many pains in here that do so many different things that it takes time for you to work in this system to make it right. Now, some of us are fortunate at this point that we've been doing it since the beginning, but we've had the benefit of time. Years. I was Lena's membership chair for 2 years, right when we made the change. So I was right at the beginning of this craziness. So I got to see all this, and most people probably will not use even a quarter of what's in mylegion.org until you run into a problem. It can be overwhelming. Take advantage of those people who have the knowledge.
And I can tell you that the department sends out those that are renewed online and their transmittal or whatever they want to call it, but it's months after they renew. It's not the end of the month. So you need to go in there daily to check online renewals to see who renewed, or the members are calling, I renewed, where's my card? Months later. So I go in there every day to check for the new renewals.
Membership update, membership changes. There's so many windows that you can do. You can go and you can track, actually I can track the last time that you processed somebody. I can literally go, because of my access, I can literally go to post 37 and go, hey, Commander, you haven't processed anybody in 2 months. Really?
Commander.
You have access, there's a lot of data that you can, and you can use it to your favor. Post 400 ADs, all that type of stuff. This is where it's at. Membership is hard. Membership is hard in terms of all the different ways that you need to understand how to find those members that we want to bring home to our posts. And that's how I say it. To me, it's not about membership numbers per se. Okay? It's great if we make it. But we find our brothers and sisters through this system. I had a post I just helped. They had trouble creating those. I went in, I created, I gave them, I think when I got done counting, it was like 90 members that he could go after for his post. 90. Out of those 90, something like 45 of them were 400 AD members that were just sitting out there in our district, not my district, in our district. Now, maybe somebody had contacted him, maybe somebody hasn't. All I know is that there was 40-some sitting in my district and in his zip codes that hadn't been called by that post. That's all I do. Okay? So don't wait. Okay? And yes, they're going to run for their lives. No more membership. First place he's going to go, somewhere to make himself feel better, whatever the case may be, hide, go on vacation. Yes.
And this might be a little bit, and I'm trying to get my head, what's the difference between a 400 member and a 400 AD member?
Okay, very simple. A 400 member is a member that is sitting and is registered as a 400 member of the state of Florida.
Okay.
A 400 AD member is a member who's sitting in a 400 system that belongs to national. And as far as what the difference for you, understand, they're not going to give you credit for a member that has already paid. It's about the dollars. Whether we like it or not, the way they do membership numbers is about the dollars. They're not going to have somebody at post 37 transfer to post 137 within the state and get double credit because both of them are going to get credit for having a member in their post. That's not going to happen. Whatever post they paid for, that's the post that's going to get credit. However, members that are sitting as 400 AD members at the national,
So that's up to the national.
even if they've already paid for that service here,
Right.
like let's say they already paid for 2024, when you transfer them, they count towards your current membership goal numbers. So you can transfer 5 400s. Your numbers aren't going to move at all. You move 1 400 AD or 20 400 ADs, your numbers are going to move accordingly. That's the difference as to why, well, that's the difference in your status, and that's the difference as to how it helps. Now, yes, we want to target those guys, but that you still want the 400s.
Right, you can get them for next year.
You still want, we want all of them. Okay? But yes, the 400s will count for now, and they're sitting at national. That is your question?
AD members will count for now.
Correct.
400 members will count on the new fiscal.
Yeah.
Right.
Any more questions? We're running short on time, so I'm trying to get through this. So if you have any questions, call the membership chair. You were just okay. Yes, Randy's coming in a little late, but of course, you can always contact me, but during the year, you contact the first vice commander. He's our district membership chair. And if he has issues, he will contact me or, listen, we're a district. You can call another vice commander at another post. We have a lot of talent out there. I'm not the only one that knows how to do membership. We should be working together. We should be working together. So, but again, if you guys can't work it out or whatever, give us a call. Do not procrastinate. Not with membership. Okay? You can procrastinate a lot of stuff. Not this. Okay? This will come back to haunt you. The problem is not going away. It's not. You can't do membership because you don't have access. It's not going away. You have a batch that won't transfer for a month and a half, 2 months. It's not going away. Okay. You and your first vice commander are not on speaking terms. It's not going away. Understand? Eventually, you're going to get a call from the membership chair going, there's a problem and it hasn't gone away. Listen, I know it's annoying, but whether we like it or not, this is the Legion's #1 program. That's how they see this program. And
A question, and you may not have an answer. Are they moving away from sending us the blank cards and having us if somebody needs a duplicate card that we're supposed to go into mylegion.org and print it out for them?
That's basically where they're headed to right now, and I do not have that answer as to the when and the exacts. I'm hearing that eventually they'll go away completely. I don't know. I can make a strong assumption that that's the direction that they're going to go. Now, this wasn't in my thing, but while Nancy's mentioning this, you get a new member that comes in. I'm talking brand new member. He wants a card in his hand. That's why you have some blank ones, and that's awesome. And you make him a blank card. But do me a favor. Don't leave that blank card for the rest of his time. I know why we used to do it that way, because we didn't have access. So Randy comes in, he's a brand new member, I tell him, here's your temporary card. Oh, excuse me. When in the old days, we used to go down our green sheet and we would go to the next number. Because we didn't know what the official number was going to be. When you run a batch, you open up that batch, his number is going to be sitting right there. So, when you put him in, when you fill out his membership card, you don't have to give him some arbitrary number that follows a sequence. You can give him or her their actual membership number. It's right there. It processes the minute that you process. So the point that I'm getting at is here. Give them their temporary card. Keep an eye. When that batch goes through, go back, write yourself a note, make a copy of the batch, especially if they're new, and document that he's a brand new member. And then, if he does come to the post, next time you see him or at a meeting, go, I would like to present you with your official card. Like everybody else's. Make him feel like he's part of the family. Not that he's the only one walking around with some scribbled stuff on his card. It may not mean anything to us, who've been carrying cards, but it means a lot to them. You can print the card for him. Do it. If he's a member who doesn't come to the post, put it in an envelope. Send it to them. Congratulate them. Send them a letter saying, congratulations, welcome to the post. Give them a reason to want to be there besides giving you $45 because you ordered the debt and I just want to join. Just get it over with. It goes a long way. I was excited when I got my first real card. I really was. Because I knew I was a part of that post. I wasn't just a guy that just wrote a thing and handed it in and they go, oh, he's a new guy. Those little things make a difference, guys. Makes a difference. I'm not going to give you the extended version. I was going to do. Any questions? Yes, sir.
I got, in fact, he's our chaplain. He's listed on our rosters renewed. However, he's showing up on 400 AD, and I've actually sent in the membership, hey, brought this to his attention, and nothing's been done to fix it.
Send it to me, and I will send it to the department.
Okay.
It takes 10 to 14 days.
Yeah. All right, guys. Any other questions? I just have a question. Do you want the extra credit or not?
Yes.
That's a teacher.
Can we spell check?
Depends how long.
I probably did it wrong. I did this at the last minute last night.
A singing? A singing?
Assigning.
A
No,
singing?
sorry,
A singing?
Assigning permissions. Okay. I get these calls. I just got one this last week, I said. Assigning permissions. How you give somebody access to actually do membership. Once you sign in, you go to my account, click. These are all screenshots. Once you go to my account, of course, you're going to go to my groups, and you're going to select. Now, mine's at 5th district because I can only assign at the district level. Okay. The next one is going to open up, is going to look like this. And under my views, you will see where it says View Members. You're going to click on my View Members. It's going to pop up a window like this, and yes, I use my district commander because that's the only name I can think of at 1 o'clock in the morning. You can either write their name up there, or you can do a membership search, however you want to do it. If you do the membership search, you will be clicking on the blue, and it'll open up that person's personal page. There he is. See? That's why I picked it. He's got that picture on there. Okay? He's just proud of himself, man, and I thought I gotta show it to the world. Okay? Alright.
Movie star.
Alright. So when you select the person who you're trying to give authorizations to, it's gonna look like this. Then if you look across here, you see where it says assign group permissions. See that? Down here on my views. All the way at the bottom, assign group permissions. You're going to click on that. And it's going to take you to this page. It's going to say manage settings. You'll go across and you're going to hit the edit button. And this is what's going to pop up. This are all the different, and I don't know if you can see it, I don't know how well it can be seen. It says select the option this person can manage. Your first option, unlock group manager. It allows the chapter member to manage the online group. This is a minimum requirement for any group manager. Then the next one down allows the manager to update the chapter member's account information. Okay? That's another area. And then as you keep going down, edit group profiles. Allow a manager to access the chapter's account information, run reports, or attach files. So each one of these different levels, it keeps going up and up and up. Generally speaking, for most people that are just processing membership, you will gonna want to check the very first one, unlike group manager, and then the first three. The last one is for the adjutant and the commander. That's to actually allow other people to give permissions, and you don't want anybody to do that. This is how you manage this.
So how does it affect a person who changes positions, like adjutant?
Again, this is just so you can give access to the people you need to give access to. Now, if you move a position and that change of position means that with that comes the need for you to go in here and do work in here, then you would go in there and you would give that person those responsibilities. And of course, if they're being removed out of that position, you also go in and you take away those authorizations because they don't need it.
So if
And I know I'm running behind, guys.
So if I'm assigned as an adjutant and I go back as a regular member, it doesn't automatically delete my permissions?
No, it has to be done manually. Okay? All right, guys, that was the extra credit. That's all I had for you guys today. So I'm already up here. So final remarks. I want to thank you guys for coming out today. We are doing a celebration of life for our past Vice Commander, District Vice Commander Joe Michael of Post 129. I hope to see some of you there, if not all of you there. Again, I hope you learned something today. If you want any of this information from any of us, we will send you our PowerPoints or answer any questions or whatever you need. Just reach out to us, okay? All right, guys. Thank you.